All right. How to go about correcting our children and our young people. This is what nearly 20 years of doing youth work and disability work have taught me. Let's go. All right. First of all, we want to judge these children. Now, when I say judge them, we're judging behaviors, we're judging things that bother us, we're judging how they're reacting. We're not judging the actual people. We're only looking at the outcomes, we're only looking at the things they're doing. We're not judging them as a whole, we're not judging their core, we're not making complete assumptions about them. We are making presumptions about their behavior. An assumption is something that just kind of is a little bit of an idea. A presumption is something that we're holding on to and looking at as more of a fact. So assumptions over presumptions, we're judging behaviors, we're judging the thoughts behind it, we're judging why these children are doing this. We are not holding this as a judgment over anyone. Good. Now, we want to start with our biggest annoyance. When it comes to correcting, if we start with the things that are bothering us, or at least the main thing that is bothering us the most, we are going to naturally want to spend more time around this child, this person, whatever it is that we're actually using this correction for. If we start with that annoyance, we're going to be there more. If we're there more, we actually have more of an opportunity to teach them more. Now, for me, in my life, in my home, it used to be chewing sounds. There was just something about that drove me nuts. If I didn't jump in, this is from a psychologist, by the way, this is where the idea of starting with our big annoyances comes from. If I didn't jump in and I didn't make that go away, if I didn't sort that thing out, I don't think that I could have kept my cool as much. I don't think that I could have built the relationship up as much as I did. I tried to ignore it. I tried to deal with it, which is the first point. Okay, there we go. When it comes to figuring out our biggest annoyance, what we want to do is try first to avoid it. We want to try to see for a couple of weeks. Let's go with 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, we want to see if we can make this annoyance go away. Now, that's going to make us focus in on it a little bit. It's a dangerous game. But if we can hold out for at least 2-3 weeks and try and make this thing not be a problem, try and stop it from grinding our gears, hopefully we work out how big an issue it is. If it's going to go away, good. If it's still an issue, that's where we bring in a boundary. That's where we start to correct, because that's going to make us feel nicer, feel more love, more, this sounds bad, but more love, more compassion, more good things towards our child, towards this child, because we're taking away that thing that's just eating us up inside. Start there. Look at your biggest annoyance. From there, you want to work out what they're doing that is hurting, actually hurting, or has the potential to hurt others. They're the next things that we want to cut off. We want to bring in boundaries. We want to bring in ways to correct those kind of issues next. We can dig into how to do all this stuff in another video even more. I'm just giving you a nice shotgun overview on how to correct. Actually, our next point is going to get into how to actually start to correct these things, how to actually bring in the boundaries. So after looking at our biggest annoyances and the annoyances of like our partner and the people around us, we're going to look at the biggest things that are going to hurt people. We're going to look at the things that are going to hurt, have the potential to hurt either other people or themselves. From there, we want to look at the things that are harmful and are unsafe. So I guess the next point is the harmful and the unsafe for the actual child. We start with the annoyances so that we're near them more. Then we go to things that are going to or could hurt others. Then we want to look at things that are hurtful and unsafe for the actual child. Because if the things that we're correcting aren't for the child's good, then there's no good anyway. First thing, coach. Second thing, make sure that we're there to keep other people safe, to make this child somebody that's actually going to care about the community, actually going to look at the people around them, actually look out for the people around them. Then we're going to make sure that we come in and make sure that they're safe, that they're not being harmed. Now, all these are going to come really quickly. We're not going to just go 6 months on our annoyances, 6 months on helping others. I mean, quickly, bam, bam, bam. We're making a list of all of these things. We're just moving our annoyance to the top so that we want to be around them more. We're obviously making the harmful stuff and the things that are going to keep them safe, they're actually up there. Don't get me wrong. We're just kind of prioritizing. We're going to start with an annoyance. We're going to make sure that we're prioritizing keeping other people safe from our child, because anything that we've taught our child that could harm other people, that's completely on us. And if they get in trouble, if they do this, if they be more hurt because of hurting somebody else, who cares about the next point because they're going to end up more and more hurt. Then we can come in and start to figure out these things that are harmful, that are safe for the child. It's just, yeah, it sounds like it doesn't make sense, but I hope that you're getting me. I hope you get what I mean. Now, as we're coming in, as we're judging, as we're doing this stuff, we're explaining every single little bit and nuance and piece to our child. I don't care how old they are, make it appropriate. If you can't explain something to a 4-year-old, you don't understand the subject. We want to dumb this down. That sounds bad, but we want to dumb this down and put it down on their level so that they completely get it. We want to make sure that they know exactly what's going on. We want to make sure that they understand this stuff, because otherwise, what's the point of any of this? What are we actually correcting if they don't actually grasp what it is that we're trying to do? Put it in their language, put it a way that they understand, or find a way to adapt the thing that you're trying to correct so that they can understand it. If that's your limit, your boundary, if that's what you're putting on yourself, you're going to go so far with this parenting stuff, because if they understand what's going on, they're more likely to do it when they're out in the world. They're more likely to do these things when we're not around. And the whole point of parenting is to set up these children to be confident adults that are just going to nail their lives, so they don't need to come over to my other business, Z Life Coaching, and learn how to improve their lives. Next, conversations. That is what correction is all about. Connection before correction. If we're not connecting with these children, if we don't have a deep relationship with our own child, with the child that we're trying to correct and bring a boundary in, same when I was in school, same when I was in youth work. If we're not connected with them, there's no point trying to correct them. It is just a fool's game. Now, with these conversations, we're laying down the rules. That's number one. We are establishing this boundary. We're establishing this is where you go, this is where you don't go, this is how you operate, these are the things you do not do. That is the most important thing with this conversation. It's going to come out nicely. It's going to be built on that connection. But the whole point is we are the authority. There's no just let the child work out what they're going to do. That is never going to go well. We're going to end up with the logic of a whatever age child minus a few years from what we think that child is. It's that simple. If we're thinking that they're like a 6-year-old, we're probably going to have parenting to the level of a 3-year-old if we let them figure it all out themselves. We're the adult, we're the authority, we know life, and hopefully we've taken the time and done our research. We can Google these things, we can look into other ways that other people do this stuff, we can find the experts, we can find the people that have done this before, we can ask the questions. If we do our research, we can be confident that we're laying down these rules for the right reason. Now, an actual conversation. We're discussing this stuff with the child now. There's 3 kind of steps that this conversation can go down with our rules. We've got the rules, we've laid it out, we've laid it down. We can change or adapt it. We can completely drop the rule, or we can triple down. They're our options. Adapt, change, drop, triple down. That's all we've got. We either completely keep this boundary and make it stronger, firmer, more concrete in our family dynamic, in our rules, in our home. We completely drop the rule after and during this discussion, or we change and adapt it with and because of this discussion and the follow-up. They're our 3 options. Now, the actual conversation. We want to let them, we actually want to make them complain. Whatever we've got to do, no matter how long it takes, we need to make them complain. We need to let them know the things that are wrong with it. Even if we need to come up with some insane ideas, even if we need to talk down our own rule to get them opening up, we need to make sure that we're letting them get that negative out. If we can't do that, we don't have any, we're the parent, we need to, but if we're not doing that, we really shouldn't be trying to correct these children. We should just pass it off to somebody else to do, because it's not really going to help. If they can't understand and can't express what they're really, understands one thing. If they can't express what they're really thinking, if there's not a way to complain, if there's not a space for them to bring their negativity into this conversation, then they're not really going to respect and care about the rules and the boundaries that we're bringing in. It's that simple. We need to make them complain. It's a little bit twisted and manipulative, but we need to leave that space and literally get them complaining. Trust me, it will make everything work and go so much further and better than you can even imagine. Even with rules that you've tried before, if we can just get them complaining and then do these next steps for a conversation, they are going to absolutely nail this stuff, and they're going to completely fall into line with these rules, and your rules are going to be better because during this next part of the conversation, we're going to tailor it and make it perfect for you and your child. So first of all, we want to speak. We want to tell them this stuff. We want to lay down those rules. We want to go, here is our boundary. This is what we've been off thinking about. This is what we've planned. This is what we've discussed and come up with. This is what we're doing. Then we want to stop. We want to wait. I know it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be awkward. Good. Embrace the awkward. There's been times where I've sat there quietly, silently for 3 minutes, let's call it maybe, just waiting, just letting it just stew and simmer. We need to give them the space and show them that we really want our children to speak. We've said everything we've got to say. We've told them what the rule is. Now we're trying to find out what it is that they really think. This is where some of that jogging and some of those insane ideas might come, where we might need to talk down our own rule, because we need to show them that they really do have a license to say everything that they think, no matter how rude, no matter how silly, no matter what language they might need to use, no matter their age. We need to allow them to let this stuff out, and then we can discuss any of those issues later. Leave it completely open and let them be whoever they truly are. It'll also help you learn more about them, and then from there you can realize and see whether there's any bits and pieces that you need to bring in and you need to stamp out or stamp down with even more, let's call it correction, because that's the name of this video, correction. After we've stopped and waited, after we've told them what we think and stopped and waited, then we want to listen. We want to listen closely to what it is that they're saying. We want to listen very, very, very closely to their objections. We want to use our logic, and not manipulatively, but wisely, break down some of their wrong thinking with actual logic. Again, not manipulatively. We want to use our logic to explain the truths of life. Our children haven't lived through things. They have their own ideas that they've got from TV, from other places that they've been indoctrinated, well, not TV anymore, but from the internet and other places that they've been indoctrinated. They've got their ideas from their friends and their other people. They've got their ideas from school. A lot of these things aren't right. They're not real. We need to bring our logic in. We need to explain what we're thinking, why we're thinking it, and why a lot of these things are wrong, why other things are right. Not manipulatively, just like a discussion. This is a discussion like you'd have with a coworker, a friend, your partner. That is what we are doing right here. We're literally opening this stuff up and leveling with our children. We're coming down from our little high horse and we're sitting with them. This is collaborative with our child. That's the best way to bring in this correction and these rules. After we've gone through these steps, we want to repeat. We want to remind them what the rule is. We want to lay that stuff down again. Then we want to sit back. We want to wait and let it go awkward. We want to literally get them speaking. We want to listen to them again. And then after we've done that, however many times it takes, because this is about spending our time. We're not just wasting our time. We're not just going in circles. We are choosing to spend our time on our child for our child's good. It might feel costly. That's why it's spending our time. We are giving this time to our children to improve and to make things easier in our home moving forward. We can make it easy now. That'll make it harder later. Or we can make it harder now and make it easier later. They are our choices. Hard now, harder later. Take your pick. From there, we've spoken, we've stopped and waited, we've listened, we've repeated this stuff enough, we've laid it down again. Now we want to give it some time. We really want to sit back. A week or two, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, whenever we see there's a problem, we want to bring this discussion back up. We want to repeat the discussion, let our children complain again and see where they're at. That's actually my next point. We need to make sure that, just like a good business, that we have a complaints department. We have a system for them. One of the best things that I did in my home was making a way for our daughter to literally complain at us, to make sure that she knew that no matter what was going on, she could come and complain about it. She could air any grievance that she had. And by being open and honest like that, I won't even bother going into the amazing, fine. Literally, by being that open and honest, she said that she wanted to live with me no matter what happened. That's how far this stuff went. That's how deep these kind of things build your relationship. That just blew my mind when that happened. People are going to say complete garbage about it, but I know for a fact that this happened. I'm going to cut that bit out. Done. I've just cut that last bit out. Now let's keep moving. All right. Let our children feel their mistakes. No matter what. All right. I've just cut that last bit out. Now, we want to let our children feel their mistakes. We need a complaints department. By having a place for our children to complain, they're going to want to stay with us. They're going to want to live with us. They're going to want to be around us. Full stop. It is going to build this relationship so much deeper, again, than we can even imagine. Little tips in here about this connection, because correction is part of this connection as well. I've said it in a few videos now. Bringing in boundaries has opened up so many hurt, traumatized, and anxious children and made them realize, not even feel, it's made them realize how much safer they truly are and that there's someone in their corner. This is collaborative. It might feel harsh and mean to a lot of people, but we're working with and for our children when we're doing this stuff. It works. It is amazing. Next point, hold all of our boundaries. Every single boundary. If we say something, we need to do it. I was in a group one time and a child kept doing something that was bothering me. I can't even remember. I think he was interrupting and just being rude. I said, if you do that again, this is in a school, if you do that again, I'm going to take your chair away and I'm going to make you sit in the corner. As soon as I said it, I'm like, oh no, please don't do it again. Please don't do it again. Please don't make me do this. I think within a few seconds to test me, he did it again. I was like, dude, off the chair, in the corner. He laughed and thought that I was kidding. I was like, no, man, I told you. If you did it again, you don't have a chair and you're going to go sit in the corner. It was a cold day. It was in winter and it was a fairly cold floor. I made him sit in the corner. I made him sit there until I could tell that he was fairly uncomfortable too. I made sure that I was uncomfortable with the whole thing because I said it. As soon as we say something, we need to do it. That's the only way to keep respect. That's the only way to make sure that these children realize that we're serious. I don't care how dumb it is. If we say it, we need to do it. There's no takebacks. Once it's out our face, it's in the world. It has to happen. The end. Be careful with what you say. Don't get me wrong. Don't abuse this. Don't use this. But we need to do exactly what we say for the positive and the negative. Even better for the positive. If we promise them something, we need to do it. If we don't do it, we need to be apologizing a lot. And we need to make up for it. We need to make sure that we remember to do the stuff that we say we're going to do. We need to come up with whatever system. And again, with the complaints, they will and should. They will remind us though. We need to make it so they will remind us because they should remind us. And we should own up to the things that we get wrong. If we're not open, if we're not vulnerable, if we're lying to these children, not only are we going to lose them, but we don't deserve them in the first place. And we don't deserve any of the respect that we all think we deserve. We need to be respectable to be respected. That simple. Next, holding our boundaries. Don't back down, no matter what. If we say it, if we do it, if there's a boundary there, that's how it is. I don't care how bad it feels. You need to do it. You need to not back down. I didn't want to make that kid sit in the corner. I didn't want to make him not have a chair. That was what he chose. I'm just giving him what he chose. Same here. Don't back down. There's your mentality. No matter what it is, if you know that it's happening, if you've told them that it's happening, if they know that it's happening, don't back down. If you're getting into an argument with them, don't back down, but don't be stupid either. There's lines and boundaries. Sometimes there's just dumb arguments that are not worth keeping. Don't even get into them. But if you need to, don't back down. Find a way to put it back on them. It's not about us, it's about them. This is age dependent. I'm thinking more teenagers now. I've almost gone off on a tangent here. But we need to not be backing down. We need to be keeping what we're saying, not backing down, spending the time. These things all take time. They take so much time. We need to make time to have these discussions. We need to make time to plan these things. We need to go and research these things. We need to upskill ourselves, upskill our children. All this stuff adds up. It's so easy to waste our time and to not spend it on the things that matter. It is so much easier to sit there in our room, away from everybody else, locked away in our little tower, acting like we're the most important thing in the world, sitting there on our phones or whatever, no meaning to attack anyone. But seriously, it's so easy to do that. I know. I've done it myself. It is so much easier to go, I don't want to do this one thing, that one thing, because I want to do blah, 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 blah. Spend the time, spend the energy, spend our own lives on these children. They are important. They're going to be the future one day. They're going to be the people that are literally running the old people's homes that we're living in, right? Let's spend our time on our own children, hope that other people are doing the same, and try and improve the society instead of tearing it down for ourselves. No one wants to be the boomers. Enough said. Now, fight the tide. Same point. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what's going on. If you're tired, if you're exhausted, if you're wrecked, if work was too much, our children are there because we made them, right? We made the choice to have them around us. We're in the places that they are, even if that is our job. That's even worse. Fight the tide. Spend the time for these children. There's no excuse. There's no nothing. We can do this. They need us to do this. Push through. Push through for them. Whatever you're pushing through, just keep pushing. They're worth it. It's just going to double down. It's just going to improve everything. It's going to improve you. It's going to improve them. It's going to improve the rules. It's going to improve the home. It's going to improve the whole environment. Push through. It's for them. Everything is for their good and their protection. If we're not doing these corrections for their good and their protection, their good and their protection, don't even bother doing it. That should be the number one. That should be what everything is focused around when it comes to this correction stuff. That's also why the connection first. We need to know them. We need to let them complain. Let them tell us when this is too much, too far, blah, blah, blah. Cut through the excuses. Don't let them manipulate you because it's all for their good and their protection. If we're not setting boundaries, it's not for their good. It's not for their protection. It's for our laziness. That's just the harsh truth. We need to be teaching, leading, and guiding. If we're not teaching them, if we're not leading them, if we're not guiding them, somebody or something else will. We need to be a good coach, a good teacher, a good lead, a good guide. Lead, guide, teach, coach. That involves some amount of study. I'm pointing to my computer. We can find every bit of information. There is information everywhere. It's very hard to get to actual truth, but there is information everywhere, so we can come up with a plan and a purpose and a way to do these things for our children, in our lives, for our homes, in our lives. Do the study, show yourself approved, make sure that you're upskilling yourself, go and ask, humble yourself and say, I'm having a problem, can you help me? To whoever can actually help you. Find a way to get the help. I don't care where it is at this point. This stuff is for your children. Find out how to get better at what it is you're doing. Find out how to lead them, how to guide them, how to coach them. All we need to do is be one lesson ahead of somebody to be able to teach them. It's that simple. You could be an hour ahead. You could have just read this stuff outside. As long as you're willing to go down the road, as long as you're willing to learn this stuff, as long as you're willing to put in the work and make sure that the thing that you've just come up with is actually going to work, do it. Worst case, your child and you realize it's not working, you can change. If it starts doing damage or it looks like it's going to hurt them, stop straight away. Make sure you're leading, make sure you're guiding, make sure you're actually a teacher. And to be a teacher, you got to study. Go and learn. Figure this stuff out. Watch resources. Find things. Ask anybody that knows how to do this stuff, and just keep getting better. Then your children will too. It's going to be an amazing, amazing time, an amazing life. And again, like I keep saying in all my videos lately, you're going to go really far. You're going to nail this stuff. These children are going to be absolutely amazing because you're amazing, because you're putting in the time, because you're putting in the effort, because you're just getting better and better. You've got this. You can do this. Seriously. Go get it. Go love your children like crazy. Bring in some boundaries. Bring in some connection. Right now, go give them a hug. You got this. See you later.